Us Eagle fans know we have one of the best wide receiving cores in the National Football League. Even PFF ranked us #1, and it starts with Alshon Jeffery. Alshon Jeffery is a guy who many experts, many fan bases underestimate and overlook. And if their teams do that this year, he will double moonwalk. That is. Still stinks. Yo everybody, boo! King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope everybody's doing well. We are one day from preseason football. The Hall of Fame game is tomorrow night. I cannot wait to watch it. It's going to be fun. I'll take any football. Anything I can get right now, I'll take. Now, the Eagles were back at practice again today, working hard, only getting better. Everything's running smooth. Everything's running great. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys. I got to speak on the situation again. I got to follow the situation because it's fascinating to me. Now, you guys know I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that things just happen, okay? So last night, we had this whole thing come out about Zeke Elliott and the Dallas covering up an accident and stuff like that. I don't believe this just happened to come out now. I believe this was leaked by one of the two parties, one of them getting back at the other. This is getting ugly. I think that this was all set up. This was leaked out on purpose. I don't know who leaked it out, why it would be leaked out, but I think that this has to do something with the whole negotiation for Zeke Elliott and his holdout and stuff like that. I just don't believe it was going to just come out automatic. I believe this came out at the specific time it did because of the holdout. What do you guys think? There's no way that you're going to tell me that this was coincidence. I don't believe it. So I'm very intrigued by that and what it means. Now we're also hearing today that Dallas and Zeke are far apart. They're far apart in a contract. So we got to keep watching the situation because it's very, very interesting to me. But I had to speak on that whole report that came out yesterday because I don't think that was just going to come out. I think that was leaked out by either Zeke's side or the Cowboys side. One of two guys, one of two groups are trying to get at the other. Now, one thing you guys have probably seen today is PFF's ranking of the best wide receiving cores in the National Football League. Now, wouldn't you know, the Eagles are ranked #1, not Dallas. The Eagles are ranked #1, not Dallas, because Dallas still stinks. That's right. But the Eagles are ranked #1, and I thought that was great. I really did. I love it. I love it. But I'm going to be honest with you, too. I would not put the Eagles #1. I would not put the Eagles #1 in that ranking. I would put the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's fair when you look at Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Sanu. I think it's fair to put them #1. But I do have the Eagles too. We have a very good, very talented wide receiving core. You know, we've spent a lot of time so far during training camp talking about Deshaun Jackson, Nelson Aguilar, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, even Matt Collins. You know, but the guy we really haven't talked a lot about is the anchor of that receiving core, and that's Alshon Jeffery. Alshon Jeffery does his thing. He's one of those guys. He's a professional. He's been doing things a long time, and I know he's going to come in, do his stuff, and, you know, we're oftentimes, you know, veterans like that, they get overlooked. People don't talk about them because they just do what they have to do, and they're good. Well, today is different because Alshon Jeffery had a great day. Him and Carson Wentz, they worked great together. He caught a nice bomb. He caught something in the end zone, and Alshon Jeffery really showed himself today, and it was good to hear his name, good to hear about him and Carson Wentz, their chemistry. They looked on point, and I'm excited about Alshon Jeffery this year. I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have over 1,000 yards. yards. I think he's going to have about 1,200 yards this year. I think he's going to have a big year, and I think in part having Deshaun Jackson on the other side is going to help. But Alshon Jeffery, he's a guy that when you hear people talk about, good wide receivers in the National Football League, he's often overlooked. He's often overlooked, and people just assume he's okay, because he's not flashy and all that kind of stuff. But I think that Alshon Jeffery is a very good wide receiver. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver, and I think a lot of times people overlook him and underestimate him, especially fan bases of other teams, and it's always a big mistake. But today, Alshon Jeffery showed his worth, showed his value, and him and Carson Wentz, they're actually connecting and they're on point right now, and that's a good sign for things to come. So when I say Alshon Jeffery's going to have a big year, what I'm specifically talking about is I think he's going to have about 85 to 90 catches, 1,200 to 1,300 yards, 11 to 12 touchdowns, and I expect him to be in a Pro Bowl. I think he's going to have that kind of year. I think Ertz's numbers are going to come down a little bit. His numbers are going to go up. I expect him to be in a Pro Bowl, and I think it's going to be a monster year. And I hope that Alshon Jeffery will get the respect I think he deserves, because I think that he's underrated, and I think that he's often overlooked in the National Football League. And after this year coming up, I don't think people are going to be able to do it. So I'm very excited about Alshon Jeffery, and that's what I expect from him this year. Now, another wide receiver that got some interesting work today was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He had a big play yesterday. We talked about that 80-yard catch where it was deflected up and he ran and he showed his speed. Well, today the Eagles were doing a lot of red zone work, and basically when they do go into the red zone offense, they're putting 12-man personnel out there, so they get their 2 tight ends, you get Alshon Jeffery, and then they get Deshaun Jackson. They take Deshaun Jackson on, they're putting Arcega-Whiteside in. How do you stop that? I'm telling you right now, how are you going to stop that in the red zone? This team is loaded. Whoo, boy, this team. How can you not be ready for football right now if you're an Eagle fan? I'm just ready to see this team. So he got some work there, and that's where I think he's really going to shine. In the red zone, they're going to use him a lot, and I think he's going to have, he may not have tons of catches and tons of yards. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he has 5 to 7 touchdowns on the year. That's the kind of year I think Arcega-Whiteside is going to have. Can't wait to see him at preseason next week. I cannot wait. So it'll be fun. Now, today at practice, it was a lighter practice, especially for the starters. They had a brutal practice the day before. They got a 3-hour practice tomorrow. So guys like Jason Kelce had the day off. Carson didn't take that many reps, and a lot of the starters did not, which gave other guys opportunities to shine and to show what they could do. And one of those guys was the rookie Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard is showing himself every day to be better and better, and the coaches are actually comparing him to Lane Johnson. They remind him a lot of Lane Johnson, and this just shows you the depth on this team. You have a future Hall of Famer, best left tackle in the franchise history, taking a #1 pick who probably is already good enough to be inserted there and play right now if he had to be, okay? And Peters is taking him under his wing. He's working with him, and Andre Dillard looks great, and he looked great today in practice. He manhandled some guys out there. Josh Sweat had a hard time with him, and it was, by all accounts, a really good day for Andre Dillard, and this is what we want to hear from him. So earlier this morning, I was reading a really interesting article, and I can't remember if it was Bleeding Green Nation or Bleacher Report or where it was, but basically they were talking about how good the Eagles tight end group is, how good they are with Ertz and Goddard, and how they're going to use tons of 12-man personnel. They're actually even going to use 13-man personnel, where they have 3 tight ends in certain situations. And, we've heard about how great Dallas Goedert looks, and we know how good Zach Ertz is, but, the Eagles also have Joshua Perkins, who, by all accounts, is having a great camp and had a really, really good day today. And then you got Richard Rodgers, the tight end that they got last year. So the Eagles are very talented at the tight end position, and they were basically saying that if the Eagles are going to run as much 12-man personnel as it seems, there's a good chance that the Eagles may keep 4 tight ends on the roster going into this year. And I just thought it was interesting. It was something to pass on and to mention, because I could see a situation where the Eagles actually do it. If you're going to use those guys more than they used 12-man personnel last year, which I think they used 12-man personnel last year 36% of the time. So if it's going to go up this year, then yeah, you're going to have make sure you have enough tight ends on that roster. So don't be surprised if the Eagles keep 4 tight ends. Now, I personally think they'll probably keep 3, but if they kept 4, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think it was a very interesting article, and it makes a lot of sense, especially if they're going to use that, that 12-man personnel so much, and even 13-man personnel. So keep your eye on that. It's something to watch going forward, but I thought it was interesting to bring up and mention nonetheless. So I know I come on here and I'm like, Russell Douglas looks great, Sidney Jones looks great, look how great Miles Sanders, I love Miles Sanders, I can't wait white rerun, and I'm all happy, I'm excited about this guy and that guy, and I tell you all the good things that happen, and the guys are standing out, and the guys that I can't wait to see play. I'm an Eagle fan. What do you want me to do? I'm excited about my team. That's what I'm going to do, and that's what happens. You get very excited about all the things you hear, the good things you hear, and sometimes you got to talk about some of the things that you don't want to talk about, some of the things that aren't good that you hear. And in this part of the video, I want to talk about my biggest fear for this team. The one thing that I've heard out of training camp that has scared me and bothered me, and I think that the Eagles may have to go outside to bring somebody in to help address this. They may be able to patch it up with who they have. But from everything I'm hearing, the interior offensive line has not looked good. And I'm not talking about Jason Kelce, and I'm not talking about Brandon Brooks when he comes back. Those guys are fine. When the starters are in, they're fine. We're good to go. What I'm talking about is the backups, the depth and the backups on the offensive line. From what I'm hearing, Big V, okay, they've been trying to move him inside. He's struggled a lot. He's struggling a lot right now. It's gotten to the point where they've even put him back at tackle to let him take some snaps there. But he has really struggled at guard. Wisniewski, I've heard he's struggled at guard, and he's one of the backup centers, and I heard he's struggling there too. Apparently he can't snap the ball to save his life. He's struggling mightily with that. So, those guys are really struggling right now. Seumalo, I haven't really heard too much about. It's been really quiet. And it kind of worries me a little bit that he's been so quiet. Pryor is another guy. He's been very quiet too. And I don't know if that's something we have to worry about. Usually when those young guys are real quiet like that, it means like, maybe they're not doing anything. A veteran like Alshon Jeffery, when he's quiet, they're just doing their thing. But with these young guys, it does worry me. So I'm concerned about the interior of this offensive line. I'm more concerned about it than secondary, linebackers, anything else on offense, the defensive line, even the special teams. I'm worried about the interior offensive line. And when I say that, I mean the depth on the interior of that offensive line. It's got to get better. It's got to be improved. Once we get Brooks back and Kelsey's in there, we're good to go. But, you never know when injuries are going to come. You never know when Brooks is going to come back. And it worries me. And I think if the Eagles, if they can't fix it internally, if they can't fix it with their roster, and if they can't get these guys going, maybe it's an adjustment thing for these guys. Maybe once Big V adjusts, he'll be fine. Totally possible. It's something that I'm probably going to be really focusing on the first preseason game, the backup interior line. I've heard Jordan Mailata has really struggled at right tackle, at the backup right tackle position. I heard that the other day with Sweat and some of the other guys, they were just killing him, and he could do nothing, and he looked really bad. And maybe it's just an adjustment, but this is my biggest fear right now with the Philadelphia Eagles, the interior of the offensive line. It's something that I think we need to improve, and I was hoping that we would have heard more good things at this point about him. So keep your eye on it going forward in preseason. Now, this isn't like, all, red alert. This is everything's going bad. This is just depth and something that I'm worried about, and I'll be keeping my eye out on. So you guys do the same thing. Hopefully they can fix this, and these guys, these backup interior linemen, can get going. And you know what? I want you guys to tell me in the comment section what you are concerned about. What's your biggest fear right now for the Eagles? What are your predictions and projections for Alshon Jeffery? I would love to know it. I would definitely love to know it. And tomorrow there is a football game on, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm probably going to be trying to do a live stream either sometime tomorrow or this weekend. I'm going to be doing one just talking Eagles because I miss doing it. I miss hanging out with you guys, and we'll see. So with that said, take care. Talk to you later. Don't be a dingbat.